Hi, I'm Michael, the observer for today's video. Here's our professional Zach demonstrating active ankle dorsiflexion test, and now the client is performing this test. The client's knee does not pass his toes. We did this test for 3 times, and the maximum result is 1 centimeter for the right side. For the left side, it is in zone 1 as well. That means the active range of motion for both sides are pretty bad. In passive mobility test, well, knee, hip, and foot are in the same line. We have our client trying to shift his center of gravity to front. Meanwhile, put his testing foot as far as possible. But we have negative number for both sides as well, indicating limited passive mobility.
Is the only leg you lift up. You don't want to do this. You want it only to go like this. You keep your hands on your hips and you go up all the way. Make sure this leg is on the ground.
In demonstration, Zach points out that non-testing leg should be in contact with the ground. Right now, our client is performing the leg raise. In straight attempts, the ankle does not pass the knee for the right side. And the left leg cannot pass the knee as well in the active test, which means our client does not meet our criteria since ankles of both legs cannot pass the mid-side. With the help from Zach, the passive range of motion for the right leg is a bit wider than the active. The ankle does pass the knee for the non-tested leg. However, it does not pass the side still. And it is quite the same for the left leg, failing to meet our grading criteria. In shoulder reach, Zach shows our client that the lower back should be neutral, and our client is trying his best to reach down as far as possible. The best attempt just meet our grading criteria. The fist does cross C7. For the left shoulder, the active range of motion is more limited than that of the right side. The fist does not cross, but it is at the point of C7. Stack demos again. And then it's quite obvious to see the passive range of motion for the right side is better. It's roughly 2 fists below C7. Nevertheless, for the left shoulder, the farthest reach is only 1 fist below C7. Move on to Y balance test. Zach does 3 measurements, but we're only showing the longest distance in the video. Measuring the stability of the left leg, the absolute anterior distance is 86 cm, while the right leg has 78 cm. Here's Zach demonstrating again. The posterolateral distance for the left leg is 93 cm. And that of right leg is 95 cm. It's Zach demonstrating posteromedial ridge. The absolute posteromedial distance is 82 cm for the left leg. And it is 90 cm for that of the right leg. Here's our final result with composite reach distance.
For the most part, there was a difference in the client's passive and active mobility. With the assistance of an external force and all passive range of motion tests, the client was able to increase his range of motion and score higher. In both the ankle dorsiflexion test and the shoulder flexion test, the client improved his score by 1 on both the left and right side of passive testing. The only exception is in hip flexion. During this test, the client's ankle is able to pass the knee, bringing him from a score of 1 to 2 in passive testing. However, this does not happen on the left side, giving him a score of 1 in both active and passive. This is likely due to the fact that the client's left leg is 1 centimeter longer than his right. In both the ankle dorsiflexion test and the hip flexion test, the client scored a 1 on each side while scoring the active range of motion. I believe this affects the Y balance test in a positive way because while the client had a limited range of motion, The joints were still strong and not too loose, meaning he was able to balance without falling. This gave the client a score of 92 on the left side and 93.3 on the right side, making them low risk for injury while playing sport. If we look at client C, we can confirm that we can do the same set of tests. The active test would allow for us to gauge her muscle memory from before her surgery till now to see how things have changed over the recovery. The passive testing would show us how far her range of motion can go with assistance without causing harm to the recovering knee. The Y balance test scores would allow for us to see how strong her knee post-surgery is when it is supporting her body. All of the information gathered in these tests would allow us to assess her recovery process and create an exercise routine to help her regain her strength and range of motion on the left side. And when the client is fully recovered, she can complete these tests again and we can compare her scores.